Oh, welcome back, my friends. Welcome back. Scotty the Trucker coming to you from the Pittston Terminal. Long time no see, and I'm sorry for that. Don't really have a good excuse for it other than just, well, I'll give my update and you can judge me based on that. But I will say that I'm, and I've said it before, I'm a person that, you know, I like to do these YouTube videos, but I like to be in a pretty good positive frame of mind. Even when I'm talking about something negative, I like to be in a positive, I don't like to be in the moment upset about something. Oh, let me jump on YouTube and do a rant. I try to avoid that. I've done it a few times, but I do try to avoid it. And the update that I'm about to give was kind of negative right before home time, had some fun at home time, and it's negative coming back out. I'm gonna, just to get myself up to speed, normally I would give a lot of detail. I'm going to try to avoid going into too much detail as I go through this, but I'm going to bring myself up to speed so I can just kind of hit the ground running and start continuing the videos and move on. All right, so strap in. This is going to be a very fast talking, fast moving video. All right, last time I left you, I was on my way from the west to the east, heading home for home time. Also, by the way, I'm sure I'm going to miss some stuff, but a lot has happened. So anyway, on the way back, days before home time, I broke down again. I had another breakdown. Uncannily, it was almost the exact same circumstance as the one before. If you've watched my videos for a while, several months ago, I don't remember exactly when, same area. I was probably within 50 miles of where I broke down the first time, right around the Maryland-Pennsylvania border in the mountains. Both times heading downhill, Jake brakes go out, dead stick, doesn't do anything, and then hit the bottom and start going up the hill, and the power of the truck just kind of bottoms out. And same thing this time. I barely had enough power just to get off the road this time. It just, going uphill you slow down anyway, but I was down, I think I can say stopped. I mean, it was 1 or 2 miles an hour. I mean, I went down to nothing, but I stomped it, got just a tiny little burst of juice and got over. Both times went to Freightliner, different Freightliner dealerships. The first time it didn't throw a code, so they drove it around a bit and couldn't replicate it. The Jake brakes were working again, so they couldn't fix it. They ended up fixing a few little things on the dash, you know, little minor stuff, but they couldn't fix the big problem. So I left there with it working, but, you know, what the heck happened? You know, is it going to happen again? It happened again. So this new breakdown, this time it didn't throw any codes again, but I guess they got in there and tinkered around because they found problems with my Jake brakes. Not a mechanic, I can't really explain to you exactly what, but it needed two parts that apparently didn't exist in the entire Freightliner universe. They called around whatever their suppliers are and had them on back order. I asked, what does back order mean? Back order means could be here in 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, who knows? We have no idea. So I'm panicking. And again, when I first got there, they were kind of optimistic that I'd be in and out until this parts thing happened. I was into my 3rd day. I'd gotten a hotel, and that's when they told me about this parts issue. And Prime came through for me. Prime had these parts, I guess, back channel discussions I knew nothing about. Prime came up with the 2 parts and overnighted them, and we were good. Now, as far as what I did during that time, after the 3rd day, let me make sure I'm getting my chronology right. Basically, I ended up going home while the truck was still in the shop. They were saying it was going to be through the weekend and a couple more days. So anyway, I started my home time. My parents came to get me from Freightliner up Maryland. I think it was somewhere near Hagerstown, if I recall. I think, yeah. Took me home. I spent a week at home, and then we went back to get the truck when it was ready and came back for home time. Again, remember, I was taking a longer home time. Neat thing, my wife got to ride in the truck with me on the way back from Freightliner to our house, which was four and a half hours, something like that. Oh, I'm sorry. And I got my AC running because it's a little warm. I'm not going to turn it off, but maybe, I don't know if it's humming. Might help a little bit. Anyway, I'm speaking up. So let's see. Okay, so home time. I had said that, you know, before my last video, I think, or maybe a few videos, I explained that the idea was I was going to stay out 2.5 months and hopefully stay at home twice what I normally do. You know, roughly 21 days is what I was shooting for. Reason being was my youngest daughter had a birthday, which I would have normally come home from, and that would have been, you know, 6 weeks or so. But she wanted to celebrate her birthday at this GalaxyCon thing. She's into anime and things like that. So we all kind of decided that I would skip a home time, basically, and hopefully stay twice as long when I come out. So there was that I wanted to do. Before that, my oldest daughter was in her first play, and I wanted to see that, and I was able to. So I did come out on home time. Saw 3 nights of my daughter's play, and for those of you about my age and you know Monty Python, I thought this was so cool. Her school did the Quest for the Holy Grail, the Spamalot thing. My daughter was kind of a support cast. She was in this group of like dancers, singers that kind of came out in the background, you know, in a lot of the different scenes. Those of you that know what I'm talking about, she was one of the knights who say "Ni." Those of you that don't know what I'm talking about think I look like an idiot. But anyway, I thought it was cool, and it performed great. It was just loose and fun and irreverent and just awesome. It was the best high school play I think I've ever seen. It was really good and really enjoyable. Saw that 3 nights. Then came the GalaxyCon. I did go to GalaxyCon. My daughter and three of her friends had a blast. They had a good time. Me, not so much. It would normally be my thing. I like sci-fi, I like fantasy, I like all that stuff, but just too many people. But it wasn't about me. It was about my daughter having a good time, and she did. And I was glad I could share that with her. But were I on my own, no way I'd go to a GalaxyCon. So I don't care who's there. I think Shatner was there. David Foley, I kind of liked him. Couldn't see many of them, and the ones we did, we saw from a distance. So that went, and then the third thing that I was going to stay for, that was the reason why I was trying to span basically 3 weeks. The third thing was my daughter getting her braces off. Unfortunately, with the breakdown and just being a little concerned over, you know, being in the hole plus the breakdown money, you know, coming out, just thought I ought to shave some days off. And I didn't shave much, but I shaved about 4 or 5 days off the total. So anyway, I'd just missed her getting her braces off, but I've seen video and I've seen pictures. Beautiful smile. She's happy. I'm happy. It's just really great. It was a good moment, but I wasn't home for it. All right, now coming out of home time, probably had, you know, well, it's funny. I was watching a video of Eric Odom, driver lineup, several days ago, and he was talking about how terrible the freight market is right now. Now, ordinarily, I come from kind of a what do you call it? I was a director of quality assurance, so kind of data and analysis and research and things like that. That is kind of my thing. But as a trucker in my first year, it's overwhelming enough just making sure you learn to do all this stuff and get where you're going on time and all that. That I am not an analyst of the freight market at all. I defer to people like him and No Hippie and, you know, those that talk about that and know a lot more about it than I do. But I feel it, you know, and I have felt it throughout. You know, I came in under the beginnings of the downturn, but I've been making money, and I still am. But coming off of this home time is the first time that it feels like it kind of came to a grinding halt. You know, you come out of home time and you want to hit the ground running, make up the deficit, and start bringing in some money again. Well, it's not what happened. I came off of home time. First of which, my first load was I needed to go, my house is here, I had to go North Richmond and repower somebody that had broken down, grab their trailer, then pass my house and go to Newport News to pick up their 01. And that was about 2 hours, and that 2 hours just kind of haunted me through the whole load. It was a 2 delivery load. And I ended up, by the end of it, I didn't have any clock left, so I got repowered off of that load. The next load was, I believe, Chicago, which I've complained before on my videos. Least favorite place is anywhere in or around the city of Chicago. You know, outskirts fine, going through, around, or whatever, I don't mind driving. It's really not that bad, but these places that are like kind of somewhat in the core of the city are just, they've always been a nightmare for me. This one was no different. On the way in, it's like Bermuda Triangle. My GPSs go haywire. Qualcomm just gave up, went to loading, please wait for the next hour. So I was relying on the other one, which just kept telling me, turn right here, turn right here, turn right here, turn right here. Basically trying to get back, because I was following the Qualcomm when it went out. It was trying to get back to its route. Pulled over, anyway, I got there. I got there, sat forever. It was like 8 hours at the dock, and when it was all said and done, middle of the night, I get my paperwork, and there's a claim, and not just a little claim, but a big claim, a whole pallet of lean cuisine meals, lean cuisine chicken teriyaki, to be exact. And so I'm like, oh goodness. I did all the stuff you're supposed to, you know, call claims and all that, and they start working. And I asked, do I stay here, or, you know, they said, well, it's the middle of the night, it's going to be a while before we get this ironed out. Go find a place to stop. So I went on to Manuka, which had been my original plan. A little bit further than I probably should have gone, but went to Manuka Terminal, and somewhere right about after I parked there, I got word that we could dispose of it, get rid of the product, that the 90 didn't want to buy it or whatever. I didn't get the details, but that was the end result, was they said just dispose of it. I'm like, oh goodness, got to dispose of a pallet. Although I was kind of happy to get that, because I've heard horror stories where they send you to like a church or a food bank or someplace like that, you know, may or may not have good good access for trucks. And anyway, so sorry, I've lost train of thought here. All right, so anyway, I'm at Manuka, and I go into the office and just say, you know, listen, you guys hungry? Really hungry? You know, I said, no, I've got this claims pallet, you know, whole pallet of it was 75 cases, 8 meals to a case, pallet of these lean cuisines. And I was like, you know, what I would really love is if y'all would be able to forklift it off and give it out to staff and whatever. And they did. They were kind of excited about it, actually. So anyway, did that, pulled up to the front, they forklifted it off immediately, and people just started rummaging and grabbing it. I got it, 1 box for myself. My fridge was still pretty stocked from home, but I was able to jam 8, well, I couldn't get 8 boxes, which was 1 case, so I had dinner that night. I had 2 boxes of it just to get rid of a couple, and then the rest would fit. Since then, let's see, I got repowered off another load just yesterday, and I know I'm missing some stuff. I apologize, but moving forward, again, I've always said, you know, Scotty the Trucker Studios, we move forward. We don't look back. So yeah, this one, it was a Anheuser-Busch load. Dropped that off, and that was what am I confused? Let's see. I don't remember. I got, let's see. Oh, it was the next, I had picked up Anheuser-Busch, and it was to go to Colonial Heights in Virginia, which is kind of close to my house. I was kind of looking forward to it. But I had no clock left. I left Busch, all my clock ran out while I was sitting there. I pulled out and parked right on the road next to the opening. You know, did a little PC, called them in for PC, and sat there. And I was looking at every which way, thinking, you know, if I do a split shift, will I make it on time? And the best I could tell my dispatch is, like, I'm going through these numbers, and if I did a split shift and everything worked perfect, I might make it. You know, it was that close. And I said, you know, I'm not optimistic, because nothing ever goes totally perfect. You know, so it ended up they repowered me off of that one. I switched load, remember. I know it was up to Syracuse. Switch loads with these people that there was a meat load, which I picked up, and then that load, getting too detailed. Anyway, I wound up. I did that load. That load went fine. Although I need to back up. Back when I pulled my AC, my APU AC had gone out about 3 days prior to the Anheuser-Busch. I forgot to mention that. So I was going to, you got breakdown, you have home time in the hole for a little bit, and you come out, and not only all of this mess, but there's been long gaps of waiting between loads, waiting at docks. I've never sat this much in my entire 9-month career. It was unreal how much this truck was stopped, and not due to me, just lack of loads. I got a pre-plan on one of them, and it didn't pick up for 3 days. The dispatch actually, I guess, negotiated that they bumped it up the window on the front end. I still ended up waiting there the whole time, and it was actually after that. Not to mention on that one, I had the claim on the other one. I forgot about this one. I waited 30 hours, I think, for one load, and when I got it, the trailer had a leak, a bad leak somewhere, so that I couldn't get any air to the back of the trailer. So we had to take it in, and they had to switch it to another trailer. It was another fiasco. So anyway, AC's out at this Anheuser-Busch. I'm trying to tough it out, thinking, I just can't. I don't want any more expenses right now. That was the hope. But each day got hotter and hotter, and I wasn't sleeping. You back here sweating to death. At least I had the fan going, but there was no AC, just a fan blowing from the outside in. And in the middle of the night, it kind of cooled off, but I was not getting much sleep. So anyway, bit the bullet, decided I need to go to Pittston. I did. They fixed that, and I had a 2 or 3 preventative maintenance things that one was due, and a couple of them were coming up. So I got all those kind of check off those boxes. So that's where I am now. And like I said, throughout this, the breakdown, I just didn't have the heart to come on here. I can talk about it now, but it was a little demoralizing, to be honest. It's like, not again, same problem. And until they fixed it, I was worried it was going to be the same thing. They're going to tell me there's nothing they can do. They didn't throw a code, so they're flying blind. They don't know how to fix something that doesn't come across the computer. But they did, and so far so good. Everything's working. But yeah, maintenance has been kind of a nightmare. My lease on this truck is up in mid-July, which I'm happy about. I love my brass tacks. I'll always be fond of this truck just because it was my first, but I will be glad to move to something else. This one has just been, especially not the APU engine, but whatever the blower, the AC, the part from the end, that seems to run okay. But the piping and all, I don't know what it is, but I have had more APU temperature issues. It's either heats out or AC's out. Heats out, AC's out. I think I've had it worked on 6 times or so. Not to mention that forward radar that I've talked about, the distance radar. That has, knock on wood, just recently kind of fixed itself. I've been dealing with that off and on, but I don't. It's something that I like to tag on when I take it in for other things, because they always say it doesn't throw a code, but yet I'm sure I'm paying some kind of labor for them to tinker around and then tell me they couldn't do anything. So it did. It's kind of worked itself out. I've gone 4 or 5 days now where it's been working fine. I hope it lasts. But anyway, I can see the end of my lease in the not too distant future, and looking forward to having brass tacks 2, Roman numeral 2, and hopefully that'll be a little bit less frustrating than this truck has been. So a little financial thing, I hit kind of a milestone. I've been you know, I've been doing what you're supposed to with lease, you know, putting money away in my savings account for taxes and putting the other money away for, you know, for my e-fund. I have an e-fund through Prime, but I also have my business account. And I've been doing that, and but, you know, when you're in your first year, there's nerves involved. You never... I've been worried, despite doing what I think I'm supposed to be doing, am I going to get nailed at tax time, you know, and they're going to tell me I'm way short. Well, I can happily say that I was not. I saved basically twice what I needed for taxes, which was, especially with all this breakdowns and maintenance and all that stuff, and extended home time, and, you know, in the hole type stuff. It was very welcome news that I had done right with that, and had a little leftover, actually. So yeah, that was a big one. I'm glad to know I've done basically a tax year of trucking, and it's entirely doable. You know, that was one of my worries in the back of my mind. So I think that's it. I'm going to stop there. 20 minutes, not too bad for me. I hope everybody's doing well, and I will try to be a little more regular. Now that I'm up to date, I'll try to be a little more regular with the videos. Hope everybody's doing well, and I will talk to you soon. Goodbye.